You know you're doing everything right technically, but things still sound muddy. Who's been there? One of the most commonly discussed areas in music production is how to deal with issues in the low end. The solutions provided are almost always on the production side. For example, use EQ to create space for the bass in the kick drums track and vice versa. Use EQ on every other track to remove low end, which makes room for both kick and bass while reducing overall signal level. Use sidechain compression to automatically reduce the gain of the bass when a kick is sounding. But what's discussed much less frequently is how to solve these problems on the musical side. Here are some compositional ideas for improving the clarity of low end. I'm just like gradually rising my chair because the sun is coming down. I need light. Solution. Rather than thinking of your kick and bass as two separate musical lines, try to think of them as a single monophonic line. In this scenario, you not only can't have more than one bass note playing simultaneously, you also can't play a bass note at the same time as the kick. This requires you to make compositional decisions. How can you create a bass line that fits between the notes in your kick drum pattern and vice versa? In some genres, such as trance and some flavors of commercial EDM, bass notes are commonly placed only on offbeats. Words, 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 words. Okay, example time. This is the first example with a 4 on the floor drum and 4 notes for the bass. So for the bass, as you can see, I set the key to G minor. So I'm basically just banging on the root note and the fifth. The fifth on the G minor, as you know, is the note D. Yeah, it's just extremely simple, but with good sound, it's super effective. So let's hear it. Now you guys can make that too. Wow, 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 wow. The sun is really coming down. Whoa. Quick, quick, quick. Other genres have less strict rules governing the relationship between kick and bass drum. In techno or house, for example, the kick drum is still often placed on every beat, but bass lines might be much more rhythmically intricate. Here's an example of a more detailed bass line, again shown alongside the kick drum notes. Amp up our bass note. Still keep it relatively simple. Remember, the key is not to overlap with the kick, particularly when the transient hits. Transient means the initial attack time. In case you don't know, but I'm sure you do. That's pretty much what I did. And let's hear what it sounds like. I also added one more layer just for vibe-wise. But it's basically 3 track, 1 kick track, whoops, I don't mean to do middle finger, bass, and a vibe. That's it. And it sounds like this. Losing sunlight, losing sunlight. Guys, forgive me. Okay, I'm going to like really have to speed this up. But first, am I still in focus? Just playing with y'all. With y'all? My gosh. Focus. Notice that in both of the above examples, neither the beginnings nor the endings of the bass line notes ever overlap the kick drum's notes or each other. Provided your kick and bass sounds are short, these patterns should create a very clean, truly monophonic composite, which should help maintain sonic clarity in the low end, but the duration of sounds can have a big impact on the effectiveness of this type of writing, and what you see in your patterns may not represent the reality of what you hear. For example, AOA style kick drums often sustain for a long time, so even though you've programmed short notes in your MIDI editor, the results may still sound overlapping each other a little bit, causing low-end interference. On the other hand, there may be some situation, okay, blah, a lot of words, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. Do your ADSR correctly, then you won't have this kind of problem. Example time. For this example, the key thing that I want you guys to take away from is that the whole deal about not muddy up our low end is that for the composition side, you don't overlap the initial attack of the bass with the kick, right? However, as you can see, this example, the bass line, will definitely overlap with the kick. But it's okay because all the transient points are not overlapping with the kick. It's just the tail end. So that's another way to create variation. One thing I like to add is that this is straightly for demonstration's sake. So in actuality, in actuality, I might not pick these particular notes, or the rhythm wise, I will change it to make it more, you guys know how I like the music. I just like to make the music kind of darker, cool. It's like, don't give a beep, but still very friendly and welcoming. Basically, just very good vibe. I feel like I would definitely deck this one out way more, but because we're learning, we're not trying to impress people. The most important thing is you guys learn the skills. All right, so just pay attention on how clean it still sound between the bass and the kick. I hope you appreciate this. I have no idea, but I just feel like it's kind of cute. All right. Love you. So after all the composition pointers that, let's say you've done all the compositional suggestion here and you still have low end clarity issue, now you can go back and apply the production tips mentioned previously. And since you've already composed your way out of the most severe issues, techniques like sidechain compression and low cut EQing may now have a much more pronounced effect. That's it for this week. I'll see you next time. Bye.